Sometimes in life, the most beautiful thing happens quite unexpectedly, quite literally from nowhere, almost divinely. Now, back at the beginning of September, we had the first grand assembly of term at Hampton Court House, and the whole school was assembled in the theatre, and we had a good number of parents at the very back and around the sides. And at my feet were the daycare and nursery children, and then serried rows of pupils through the lower, middle and upper years, with the older teenagers at the back. And I asked that question, which I must have asked hundreds of times before. What do you want to be when you grow up? Now, the answer I receive is dependent usually on the age of the child, but often I hear an astronaut, a fireman, a footballer, or some such thing. Now, last September, an eager hand shot up, and one of the nursery children, a little boy with big eyes, looked up at me. "Yes?" I inquired. "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And this little 3-year-old, I won't say his name, but it begins with B, said, "I want to be a daddy." I can tell you, I wanted to pick him up and hug him. In fact, I think I did a bit. I want to be a daddy. Now, this memory came back to me this morning as I note that this Sunday, this coming Sunday, is Father's Day, and it's a time to remember fathers. Now, of course, mothers are important. For most of us, mothers are our first and most immediate caregivers. But no two families are the same, of course. But fathers exert a powerful influence, either by their presence or by their absence. For so many, fathers are powerful and influential figures. Now, sometimes this may not be your biological father, perhaps a stepfather or your adoptive father, or perhaps there's a significant father figure in your life, even if that is not your real father. As I say, there are many, many different kinds of family setups. But children do flourish with men as well as women in their lives. It's why at Hampton Court House I'm so pleased that we have male role models with the youngest children like Janak or Anthony, Roy and others. It is perhaps a cliche that men are not always good with expressing their emotions. Perhaps in 2020 that is beginning to change. I hope so. But whilst some fathers are demonstrative and full of hugs and kisses, others are perhaps a little more remote. Some fathers are very forgiving, and some are rather strict. For love comes in many forms, and sometimes fathers love but don't know that they love, and sometimes fathers love but can't say they love. I know that some of you have lost your fathers, and what remains is the memory of the love between you. As a famous poet said, "What will survive of us is love." And I know some of you don't see your fathers at all, or do very little. But here I urge you to keep a space for him, and perhaps later there can be a rapprochement, later in life. Again I say, families come in many, many forms. So whether it is your real father or another man who is important in your life, this Sunday is a time to remember that person. In the UK, and indeed many, although not all other countries, Father's Day is the third Sunday in June. It's a time to honour fatherhood, paternal bonds, as well as the influence of fathers in society. If you'd like to remember your father this Sunday, then the best way is just to tell him that you love him, and perhaps to make a card. You certainly don't need to spend money. A handmade card, I think it always means more than anything you could buy, because it is from you, of you, and by you. I wish you all a most wonderful weekend. Thank you, by the way, to the many, many of you who have written to me in recent weeks. And I mean children and parents. It has been, I know, a challenging time for us all. but I'm buoyed by our strong sense of community, our interconnectedness, and frankly by our love for each other. I am hopeful that we shall all be able to see each other in person very, very soon as we enter the final 2 weeks of the school year. So have a good day, everyone, and go and have a terrific weekend.